Hi friend, welcome back to the channel where we focus less on trying and more on being the best version of ourselves. The idea for today's video is slightly all over the place, so I need you to track with me here. Let's clear a space, let's clear our minds, let's come with open minds and hearts, and let's have a little chat. Let's have a little heart to heart today, okay? Everyone gather around the campfire. We have things to discuss. So there are three main things I want to talk about. They might not seem super connected at first, but we'll tie them together. I think they are all equally important and things that just need to be ground zero. We just need to have this base level foundation in order for us to be on a level, for you to understand where I'm coming from, and for the rest of the videos that I make to make sense. I want you to have proper context. So those things are, the Father and I are one, but my Father is greater than I. This became a thing because of my instant manifestation video. Somebody was very upset that I used such flowery, esoteric, enlightened, holier than thou language, and seemed to think that I was coming from a place of speaking from a pedestal and being some enlightened guru being of the world, manifestation leader of the world, cult leader of the world, and I was asking you to do something absolutely ridiculous when I explained in that video, in my opinion, the fastest and easiest way to get an instant manifestation. I still stand by it, but I think, again, some things were lost in translation. So we will talk about the Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I. And I want to talk about self-concept. I know that there is a little bit of a war going on. There always is. There's always something. People are debating in the manifestation community. This thing is important. This thing is not important. This is the key to this. This is the key to that. This is what you need to do. Just do this and you will get whatever you want. There are plenty of things that can be said for this. And of course, different things work for different people. But if there is any key to manifestation, it is self-concept. I will die on that hill and I will explain to you why today. And then we're gonna talk about robotic affirming again. We're gonna give a little bit of justice for robotic affirming, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about how I see it, why I feel like there is still such a clash with the robotic affirmers and the deciders, if you will, or the people who just say, just get into the state or feel it real or visualize, versus the people who say, just robotically affirm. You don't have to feel anything. You don't have to visualize anything. Just say the words over and over again. Repetition is king. It's a lot. May not seem fully connected now, but I would like to, if you will give me the opportunity, help you connect those dots today. Firstly, I want to talk about the Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I. This idea is pretty much the basis of that video, and I feel like this person's gripe. The comment in so many words was saying, Neville kept it simple. Why are you making it so complicated? Why are you using this language? I guess making it inaccessible. You have to do all these things going beyond to get to enlightenment, to reach the one, and there's no separation and this and that. I talk about how there is no separation all the time. All the time. There's no separation between you and I. There's no separation between you and that car and that tree and your phone and that bag of chips that you're eating on the couch and the couch. There's no separation between any of those things. We are all one. We are all made up of the same energy. We are all made up of the same substance. We are one in the sense that we have the same energetic makeup. We are all made in the image of God. And God being source, being energy, not some personification, not some person, not some entity. It just is. It is isness. And that's when it gets kind of hard to explain and we get a little bit more into the flowery metaphysical language, because how do you explain God? And it's hard when you're discussing God, especially not knowing where people are coming from, people's backgrounds, primers, indoctrinations. If you're religious, you may have one image of God, especially depending on what religion you come from. If you're spiritual, you have another image of God. If you're scientific, you might have another image of God. What we are speaking about here, whenever I say God, source, universe, all that is, the I am talking about literally all that is, pure substance of existence, pure consciousness, pure isness, just is, just that's it. That's why it's hard to explain. And that's literally why this channel is called More Being, because it just is. It just is being. It just is existence. Everything that could ever exist, ever will exist, ever has existed comes from that isness, comes from that pure being, comes from that pure potential energy. This substance, consciousness, the I am that we are all made out of is what connects us all. It is that oneness. So that is the Father and I are one. Because if we are made in God's image, I'm using biblical language, but I'm not talking about this from a religious standpoint the exact same way that Neville uses the Bible and interprets it in a psychological fashion, in an esoteric fashion, in a metaphysical fashion, in order to bring it down to human, 3D, relatable, practical terms. In as much as manifestation and reality creation can be practical and logical. So when the Bible says we are made in God's image, it is not that there was a God. Just imagine it personified for a second. Imagine there is some personified God. Surely the first image that popped into your head is the big bearded man in the sky. Sure, him. Let him stand in for this example. He is creating man. He does not take a little bit of dirt, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of flour, a little bit of fucking asbestos. He doesn't take all those things and put them in a mixing pot, some things from outside of him, and mold it to look like him, and then say, yes, that is man. Man looks like me. That's not what is meant by people are made in God's image. That's not evidence for the personification of God as a being. Just because we are mankind, we are humans, does not mean God is some humanoid form or being. So what is God, right? It's all that is. And it's not that God is taking all these pieces from outside and putting it together to make some creation outside of itself. What the Father and I are one means is exactly what God is exactly what you are. You are God. There are no pieces of you that are not included in that all that is, in that pure consciousness. But the Father is greater than I means that there are scales. There are levels of consciousness. And this is where I feel like the disconnect comes, because people just want to cling to that, oh, we are all powerful, we are gods, we are able to create our realities, we can do whatever we want. Of course, this is true. This is what we talk about all the time. God is in you. God lives in you as you. There is no part of you that was created that was separate from God. God didn't take anything outside of itself in order to make you, because there is nothing outside of God. Does that make sense? Everything that is, everything that ever has existed, ever could exist, ever will exist, is completely and totally made up of God. That includes you. That includes everything you can see or perceive. Everything that you could be aware of is God. So that is why you and God are one. That is why you are God. Because when you were created, because creation is finished, so everything that has ever been created, ever will be created, has already been created. Because of that, all of creation is one with the Creator. The Creator is the creation is the Creator. It's all the same, it is all one. That's why there's no separation. But because it is our purpose in being here, if we can say that there is any purpose to existence at all, it is to be a conduit for that God source energy to experience itself from the point of view of that God, of that source, of that Creator that we are at the highest level of being. There is no individuality. Therefore, there is no experience. We come into physical form, whether on this dimension or any other. Right now, we're here in the 3D realm, operating on the 4th and 5th dimension, but as 3rd dimensional beings, we are here on Earth. Hello, welcome to being a human. We are the vessels, right? That's why in the Bible it says your body is your temple. The temple of God is within you. All that good stuff. Because God resides in you, and you, as this level of yourself, are using your body, your 3D ego, personality, identity, self-concept, in order to have an experience. Now, whatever that experience is up to you, but there would be no experience at all had you not come down to this level of awareness, this level of consciousness. This level of consciousness is only possible as a human. So as we are here, and somebody in the comments, tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if you have complete omniscient awareness of all that is, like truly all that is in existence right now here in your physical form, because you actually are an enlightened being and we should all be maybe listening to you. But unless that's you, then you're probably pretty much like the rest of us. We're here and we have awareness. We listen to different people. We learn different things through the experience of life, which is what we're here to do. But we do not have the full awareness of all that is. We just know that all that is, and whatever we can see in our imagination is real, because that is part of all that is. That is why we rely on infinite intelligence, that infinitely intelligent aspect of ourselves that we still have it's still connected to us because that separation could never happen. But we do place certain limitations on ourselves in order to be here as human beings having an experience. Otherwise, there would be nothing to experience. There would be no fun to it if you knew everything that was gonna happen, if you knew all the tricks, if you knew everything that was behind the veil. There'd be no point of existing as a human. You would just be that primordial being or some being on a higher level of consciousness doing something way different than we are here doing as human beings. I really hope this is making sense because I'm trying to bring it down as much as I can and not use my flowery esoteric language. Even though once you understand this, it becomes very hard to explain it in a different way because it just is what it is and it makes complete and total sense in my head. But if it's still not making sense, please let me know so I can explain it deeper in depth because I think that this is so important for you to understand. Okay? As 3D human beings, we have this aspect of ourselves, whether you want to call it infinite intelligence, whether you want to call it your subconscious mind, whether you want to call it the I am, consciousness, all that is, source, your spirit, your soul. There are differentiations that you could pick apart semantically, but we pretty much, I feel like we can agree, we use those words pretty interchangeably. That aspect of you is your creative power, right? Your I am, your imagination, what allows you to bring to fruition whatever it is that you are manifesting. But there is a bridge of incidence. You are not the orchestrator. You decide, you choose, you pick what you want, and you just let it happen. You just make yourself available for it, or you just prepare yourself. You get into the state, you get into the awareness, you shift your identity to be the version of yourself that is compatible with the reality that you desire. But you are not then zooming out, becoming all of reality, all that is, and putting all of the pieces on the chessboard from your human 3D point of view. Does that make sense? You, as whatever your government name is, whoever you are as a human being, a persona, an ego, you are not making manifestation happen. You are deciding what you want. You are being the version of yourself having what you want. You are saturating yourself in your imagination. You are making decisions. But that infinite intelligence, that source, that part of you that does orchestrate is also you, but you are not privy to all of the things that that aspect of you knows as a human being here right now. Now, once you're done with this experience, things may become a lot more clear. You might come to new understandings about why things happen the way they did and how this whole thing operates, more so than we are readily capable of here as 3D human beings. How many times can I say 3D human beings? I really want to make this distinction so that there is no more confusion. Just because there is this separation, these levels of density, these levels of consciousness, you as a 3D human being, you as a 4D human being, able to see an imagination, able to visualize things, able to picture things, able to use your mind. And then you as an oversoul, you as an even higher dimensional version of yourself, maybe a 6th dimensional version of yourself who sees all of these events playing out at the same time simultaneously. And there is no time. There is no linear time as we see it here. Everything is happening all at once. You can see all the pathways, you see everything happening simultaneously. And then the highest level version of you that sees not only your soul path, not only all of the options that are available for you as whoever you are as a person, but all of your past lives, all of the people that you could be, all of the people in existence, all of the galaxies. If you wanted to exist as a toaster oven, that highest version of you, the source that all that is, sees that reality. Am I presumptuous in saying that that is not the case for all of us? That from this level of consciousness, as a person, as a human being, as a 3D human being, we are not all seeing all that is. We are not omniscient. We don't all have an all-seeing eye. Now we can use our imagination, we can use those aspects of ourselves that we are still tuned in to, that are not separate from us, in order to get a glimpse, in order to better choose, in order to be more guided in the things that we desire to do, in the things that we want to do and feel we are called to do. But just because those distinctions in levels of consciousness exist does not mean that that is not you, fully you, on every level of consciousness. This brings me back to the quote. Not to call this person out, and I'm not gonna put the comment up, but to paraphrase, I want to use this because I think it's important. If there is this confusion, I absolutely want to clear it up because I want to know that we are all on the same page and all at the same understanding. Of course, there is no separation, but I do want to say, if you have read or listened to Neville and you think that it was simple, you're right and you're wrong, because of the duality and the polarity of existence itself. Yes, manifestation fundamentally is very, very, very simple, but it can get very complex. Now, I am not a Neville purist. I've said this before, I will say it again. I love Neville. I love the way he explains things. I love the use of the Bible in an esoteric metaphysical context as a psychological drama that we can apply to our own lives. That is why I love Neville. Do I think that you have to follow everything that Neville said to a T? No. Do you have to follow everything that I say to a T? Absolutely not. Please don't. Please use your own discernment and come to your own conclusions about what is real and what is true for you and what you want to adopt into your own belief system, because that is how life is going to work for you. So it would behoove you to make sure that you're good with whatever is going on. No matter who's saying it, you are always the final checkpoint. But to say that Neville did not say exactly what I was saying in that video, which was, I was speaking about heart and mind coordination, the you down here being able to agree with the you on that higher level of consciousness in order to allow something to happen for you. I feel like that's pretty basic, pretty fundamental, but some people have a little bit of difficulty stringing things together. So I will say it like this. If in your body, you are feeling petrified, you are feeling so much fear about something happening for you, you really want this thing, but you feel absolutely petrified. But in your head, you're saying, I have this thing, I have this thing, I have this thing. It is going to be more difficult for you to believe into the thoughts that you are thinking if your whole body is screaming terror. Now, can you still manifest that thing? Of course you can. Can you use repetition to continue to reprogram your subconscious mind, tell yourself the things that you want to tell yourself in order to become the version of yourself that you need to become in order to have the outcome that you desire? Yes, of course, that's literally what we talk about all the time. In that video though, I was talking about instant manifestation, and that is the instant manifestation pipeline. If you have a feeling, a good feeling about something, which is the feeling of it's done, the Sabbath state, the knowing you have it, the conviction, I'm talking about the same thing, and that thought, whatever the thought is, the thoughts that you are having matches that feeling, you feeling like the person that you want to be, you being in the state of having the thing that you want to have, and you are thinking in alignment with that thing, of course you are going to get that thing. And of course it is going to come a lot more quickly and a lot more easily if all areas are a go, if all the lights are on. Hello? I don't know how that got misconstrued. So this is something that Neville talks about all the time, which is why I wanted to bring this up, because I'm a huge proponent of further exploration. Not that you have to be constantly seeking on a spiritual journey, because once you really get it, you've got it. There's really nothing more for you to get, but I like to hear different people's viewpoints, different people's understandings, and I like to come to my own conclusions. And I do that by having a large data pool and then running it through my own emotional guidance system, my own discernment, and deciding what works best for me. That's my method, okay? But to say that Neville did not speak about what I was speaking about in that video is false. But even if he didn't, I would still stand on what I said because it's the truth. That heart and mind coordination, the body or the lower aspect of you agreeing with that higher aspect of you, even though we know. See, I felt like I was good to stop giving disclaimers, but obviously I am not, so that's okay. So we're gonna clear it up today. The lower version of you, which is what I just explained before, is not lower or higher on some kind of hierarchy as in better or worse. It just means the version of you with the most limited level of awareness. Limitation is not a bad thing here. If it were not for these limitations, you would not be a person. You would not be a human being. You would not be able to be contained within a physical body. Therefore, no experience for you, no SP for you, no winning the lottery for you. You can't do any of that unless you are a human being. Being a human being comes with certain limitations, like you have a body, like you have to eat, like you drink water, you have to take a piss. Hello. These are just like, okay? Let's just making sure we are all on the same fundamental basis here. That lower aspect of you is you. And hint, hint, this lower aspect of you that's not actually lower or higher as in better or worse, it's just fine because it's who you are, it's perfect, it's amazing. We did this on purpose, you are here on purpose. But that lower aspect of you is also what we would call your ego, your self-concept, your personality, your identity. Keep that in mind, that all of those things are synonymous with ego or lower self. Keep that in mind for later. It is very important, please, because you need to hear this, especially if you were confused before. You need to hear this, please. So remember, identity, self-image, self-concept, personality, all of those things synonymous with ego / lower self. Higher self would be the all that is, the I amness, pure consciousness, God, source, okay? So when you, on this level, as lower self, as the 3D human version of you, as your personality, your identity, you, hello, you who I'm here talking to, hello, hi friend, hi. You are the lower self. It's not a bad thing. Once you, in this little mind of yours, can agree with what that higher version of you sees for you, which is all that your heart's desire is, that comes straight from the source, which is also you. There's no separation, there is just differentiation in order for us to have this lived experience. There's no actual separation. It's an illusion. We're playing a game. Hello? It's like The Sims. Your lower self and your higher self, that all that is aspect of you, consciousness, pure I amness, all that is God. If those two things are in agreement, if you as the 3D version of yourself can agree with what God wants for you, source wants for you, which would be your heart's desire, because the desires of your heart are God's desires for you because you are God. So if it is on your heart, then it is your desire and it is a true desire and you can have it. There's no combativeness. There's no, oh, let me ask for this. Oh, may I please have this? Like, you want the same things because it's you and you. You just have to get into communication with that version of yourself that has been, in a way, pushed into the shadows so that you are able to have a more realistic, lived, fulfilling experience as a human being. All of that to say, this is what is meant by the Father and I are one. All is one. All is connected. There is no separation, truly. There's only the illusion of separation, but the Father is greater than I. This is the lower self and the higher self. Father being source version of you, I being human version of you. So source and you are one, the same thing, but source is greater than you as a 3D human being. That's why we need infinite intelligence. That's why we need the bridge of incidence. Otherwise, we'd just be manifesting things willy-nilly. Everything would be happening simultaneously and it would be complete and utter chaos, and there would be no value to be gleaned from this experience. So I promise you, we set it up like this on purpose. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. The only reason that source is greater than you is because that is all of you. Think about it like this. Maybe I've used this analogy before, but it's literally like the ocean. God, source, the Father, is the ocean. You are a singular drop of water from that ocean. If I took that drop of water and took it out of the ocean, that drop of water is not the ocean, but everything that is contained within that drop of water is the ocean. There's no part of that drop of water that is not the ocean, but it's no longer in the ocean. That drop of water is no longer in that state or in that embodiment of being the ocean. It is now an individual drop of water who can go on and be in a bottle or get flushed down a toilet. That drop of water can go on to live its individual experience. That ocean is still gonna be there. And if that drop of water returns to the ocean, it will be seamlessly reintegrated because there's no part of that drop of water that is not the ocean. They are the same, even though the ocean is obviously different than that drop of water, but they're still the same thing. So that's all that this means. But we have to come here as individuated aspects of the all in order to have any experience at all. Otherwise, there would be nothing. Does that make sense? Source, as all that is actually nothing. So in order for source to experience itself, we had to have some illusion of separation, something to branch off. This is where the I am comes from. The I exist, I am aware. Because in order to be aware, you have to have something to be aware of. If you are just pure isness, you're not aware of shit. You just exist. That's why we individuated ourselves in order to experience ourselves, have the lived human experience, and take that experience back to source. So the only reason that there is some illusion of separation and the Father and I are one, but the Father seems greater than I from this perspective, from this level of consciousness, is because it was made to be this way, because you are here serving your purpose. And as soon as you are done doing that, you will go back to be with the all, to be the source that you always were. So you were never not source, you were just an individuated aspect of source serving your purpose here in a human form. There's a different level of functionality, okay, that happens from being a human to literally all that is. Pure, unadulterated consciousness. Like, pure awareness. There's obviously a little bit of a difference, but that awareness never leaves. That is the constant. That's why Father and I are one. Father is greater than I. That's why if you as a human can agree with that version of yourself that's telling you, hey, I know you want this and I know exactly how to give it to you, just believe that you have it now. That's why that works so well. When you just say, okay, because higher level of you is already knowing and already seeing from that simultaneous level that you cannot see from your human perspective, but you feel it to be true. You know it to be true, you desire it, you can visualize it, or you can imagine it, and so you know that that exists, that is real, because creation is also finished. So you lock in, you tune in, you tap into that, and you work together with those different aspects of yourself in order to give yourself the experience that you are here to experience as an individual. It's literally this big play that you are putting on for yourself with these seeming curtains and veils and illusions to make things look a certain way. That's why we know that the 3D is malleable, that things are not all that they seem, that things can change in an instant because we only see what we want to see. We see through our lens, through our self-concept, through whatever state we're in, through our core beliefs. That's how we see the world. That does not mean that that's what the world is. That's just the way that we choose to perceive it. And that is our right. And that is what we're supposed to be doing here. Having an individual experience where we feel separated, where there is seeming separation because it serves a purpose. This form of limitation serves a purpose. Hopefully, I said everything I wanted to say on that because I feel like I rambled on about it for a long time. That is why the Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I, which Neville did speak about extensively, as he did. And all of the spiritual greats, like, I'm telling you, anybody who does law of attraction, law of assumption, like new age, anything, knows this to be true. We obviously all culminate into the same source. We are the same thing. But in order to have this experience here, in order to be who we are, in order to live fulfilling lives and have new fun experiences, here we are existing as the little versions of ourselves, pretending that we are not God. But some of us are aware enough to realize that, hey, this is the case. And even though I can't see the full control panel, I know that it is there, and I know that I can use my internal mechanisms. I can use what is within me to control the things that I cannot see and bring them into the realm of the seen. That's how we operate that huge gargantuan power that is all that is, I amness, consciousness, from our little limited human bodies. So it's actually not a limitation. This is actually fun. You're actually here on purpose. You actually decided to do this, just like you decide to do everything else. So, yes, sometimes I use those terms, lower and higher self. It's not a ranking system. It doesn't mean better or worse. It just is what it is. There are different aspects of consciousness, but there is no separation. Yes, at the end of the day, at the most basic level, it is all the same. We are all the same. I hope that that distinction is clear. Now that I've made that distinction, I want to talk about why self-concept is king. So remember what I said before about how self-concept, personality, identity pretty much equals that lower self, which equals you as a person, as a human being. Hello, hi again. You are a person, correct? You are being, correct? Okay, great. So first of all, I want to say that the ego is not bad. You need your ego because you enjoy existing, right? And also, you can't get rid of your ego. People talk about ego deaths and ascension and enlightenment and all of that stuff. But please do understand, when people, especially if they're using something like psychedelics or hallucinogens, experience an ego death, that means that they cease to exist as the person that they are. There is complete disillusionment of the identity, which is what we came here for. Remember, the individual experience. If that were the goal, to lose your ego, to lose your identity, to go back to source, to go into the whole non-duality thing, if that were your purpose, you would not have come here in the first place. Or maybe you did come here just to like beam yourself back up. I don't know. But for who is here, for this demographic, this audience, I'm going to assume that that is not your purpose for being here and seeking this type of knowledge. It's not that you are totally and completely ready to merge with source again, because in order to do that, in order to truly lose your ego, you would have to cease to exist. So anybody telling you that they are living without ego is telling you that they don't exist. They don't exist as a person. They're just so far beyond. They don't exist as a person. They have no personality. They have no self-concept, no self-image, nothing. They don't even exist. So sure, Sure, me personally, that's not my goal. My goal is not to get rid of my ego. My ego is my friend. Ego and self-concept are synonymous. Identity and ego. So there's no sense in trying to get rid of your ego or having an ego death. All that it means is literally to lose yourself to who you are as a human being and to remember that you are all that is. If you're here, and if you've been specifically here or in places similar to this, if you can follow what I'm talking about, you already know that you are God. You already know that you are source. You already know that all is one. Father and I are one, but my Father is greater than I. You don't have to go immediately back to being the Father to reach some pinnacle of enlightenment. That's not what everybody is here to do. Some people, sure, some people came here for that experience, but the majority of us, no, especially if you're here trying to learn how to get the things that you want. That's not what you're looking for. I can assure you that's not what you're looking for, is an ego death or the disillusionment of your ego. You need your ego. It's not a bad thing. It makes you who you are. Now, let's switch. Remember that ego and self-concept are synonymous. If you are not liking who you are or the results that being that person is having on your reality, then you can shift your ego because you are that malleable being, because you are all that is, because you have all of these infinite possibilities available to you. You can shift and you can mold and you can form through all of these different versions of yourself and have a different experience. But you're going to do that with another ego, with another version of yourself, with another identity, with another personality. You have to be someone, okay? You exist. If you can just cease to exist, if you can just snap your fingers and cease to exist, let me know. I want to see. But I don't know why you would want to, because if that's what you came here to do, I don't know why you came in the first place, but neither here nor there. Not only is your ego important, it's the most important thing about you. I feel like in a lot of spiritual spaces, the ego is heavily demonized. Like it's a bad thing to have an ego. If you're thinking about ego as in being full of yourself or being overly confident or being prideful or something like that, that's not the ego that I'm talking about. But all it means is that you're a person. You have a personality. You're an individual. That's what an ego is. You are your own person. To say that self-concept, your identity, is not the key to manifestation, is not the most important thing, the thing that you could do alone, everybody could do, and it would work for them, is just false. Self-concept is the most important thing. Self-concept specifically and primarily as knowing yourself to be that thing that you're trying to get to through the ego death. Again, I'm not a Neville purist, but if you have read anything by Neville, you know that he is constantly asking, who do you say that you are? That is your ego. That is your self-concept. That is your identity. Who you say you are. And who you say you are determines the things that you experience. Your entire world is based on who you are, which is your identity, which is your ego. People will say, no, it's your state, or no, it's your beliefs. No, it's this, this, and that. It's this, that, and the other. From a certain identity, there are going to be states that do not seem available to you simply because it has never even occurred to you from your level of understanding, from your level of awareness, that that state is even in existence, that it's even possible. Of course, the possibility exists, but if it is not in your awareness, from your identity, from that self-concept, then you have no means of acquiring that state because you are unaware that it exists. So that's why most of the time when I speak about self-concept, I'm talking about you knowing you are God, you knowing you are source, you knowing that the possibilities are endless, and that creation is finished. Whatever you want, it is done because you are all that is, you created all that is, so all that is available to you. To me, that is fundamental self-concept, that you are this higher level of consciousness, experiencing life through this body, experiencing life as an individual, playing this game with yourself. But really, this is not truly who you are. This is the suit. This is the costume. This is the avatar. Who you really are is the I am. You are really pure consciousness. You are really source. You are really all that is. To me, that is overarching self-concept, the king. Underneath that self-concept, then comes your ego, who you are as your avatar. I am a teacher. I am a pet sitter. I am a car salesman. All of those things fall underneath that umbrella of your ego, your concept of yourself, your self-image as a human being. How many times can I say as a human being? I have to make this distinction because I want there to be no confusion. Everything that you could possibly believe, all of your worldviews, all of the thoughts and feelings that come from those beliefs and worldviews, are underneath that umbrella of your self-concept. That self-concept of you as an ego is underneath the self-concept of you either being aware or being unaware, being awake or unawake. You are either a victim and life is happening to you, or you are just experiencing life, maybe not as a victim, but as somebody who is not in control, someone who does not have free will of what happens around you, or you know that you are the creator, you created all of this and this is your playground. Those are the two main overarching self-concepts that you can have. I am awake, I am asleep. And then underneath that is the you that you came here to be, the you as whoever you are. This is why Neville always says, who do you say that you are? Because if you choose to be something, whatever it is that you choose to be, but you do it under the pretenses of that ultimate self-concept, knowing that you are awake, you are aware, you can have whatever the fuck you want, the game of life is yours to play, it's going to immediately have an effect on your beliefs, on your state, on the way that you operate, and on your ego, on your identity as who you are, as the human version of yourself, because you are going to know full well that you are capable of doing these things because there's no other option, there's no source outside of you, there's no cause outside of you. All of this is you. So whatever you choose then becomes what it is. There's no opposition because everything outside of you is you. Do you see how all of these things are connected? You could not manifest without a self-concept, and your self-concept is always going to determine your capability as a manifestor in those two aspects. And I make these distinctions only for clarity's sake. At a certain point, it all coalesces, because at a certain point, it is all the same thing. Actually, at the initial point, it was all the same thing. It's only separated because of the density we're on, the plane of consciousness we're on, the dimension that we're on, if you will. Earth, hello, high physical plane, we are here. Please stick with me, okay? A person who believes that they're somebody who things have always come easy to. It's not even a belief at that point, it's just a knowing, it's just how things are. I'm a person who always gets things handed to me, is going to have different states, different beliefs, different thoughts, different feelings and emotions available to them than a person who experienced hardship for all their life, only knows hardship, only knows overcoming, and only knows struggle. Those states are going to seem a lot more inaccessible to that person because of their concept of self. Now, if that person who was in that state of disempowerment became aware that they are all that is, and it just clicked, they were just able to accept it, hey, I'm all that is, I'm God, I'm source, I can create whatever I want in my reality, it's mine for the taking. If that awareness just beamed into them and they just all of a sudden were awake and aware, now, because of that self-concept, all of the beliefs, all of the stories and experiences and situations that happened prior to that awareness are now invalid because they have a new understanding. That awareness of being that version of themselves who knows who they are fundamentally makes a lot more things available to them that seemingly were not available before, and can do so very quickly and can wipe out completely core beliefs, thoughts, emotions, stories that would lead a person to be manifesting certain things or living their life a certain way. So your self-concept is simply who you say you are. That is what all of manifestation is based on. Your identity. Who do you say that you are? That is what the I am is. That is what consciousness is. What you are aware of being. That's why this is all about being. Who are you being? What are you being aware of? You have to be in order to have anything. You have to exist in order to do anything, to have any lived experience. Therefore, you need your self-concept, and you need your ego. You need an identity, and everything is predicated on that identity. Everything is based on that identity. Everything. So if anybody were to say that self-concept is the key, I would agree. I would agree that self-concept is the key, but I think where people get it a little bit misconstrued, and there's a little bit of a mistranslation, is, are we talking about that overarching self-concept of knowing who you are, knowing that you are all that is, knowing that you are source, that the Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I? Or is it coming from the self-concept of, I am chosen, I am loved, I am capable, I am powerful, girl boss? Is it that watered down 3D version of you? Not that you're watered down, but you know, limited, body, human, hello. Is it coming from that being self-concept, or is it from the ultimate self-concept? Who am I? I am that I am. I am whatever I say I am. I am whatever I am aware of being. I am pure awareness. I am pure consciousness. So whatever I decide is what it is. Is that the self-concept we're talking about? Because that self-concept is king. And if you have that overarching self-concept, if you come from that understanding, everything else you do is going to conform to that image because you know what's possible. You know what you're capable of, which is literally whatever you decide. So your beliefs are attached to your self-concept. Your thoughts are attached to your self-concept. Your ideas, your feelings, all of that is attached to your self-concept. It is. I don't know how you could argue that it wasn't, because if you have beliefs separate from you as a person, if you just see beliefs floating around like bubbles and you're just taking them and holding on to them and they are not attached to you and they have nothing to do with you, but you're just like, hey, I'm vibing with this belief. I don't know, I got it from over there. It was just floating by like a balloon and now here I am with this belief. But, you know, it's not a part of me. I just believe it and it's just making things happen in my reality, but it's not a part of me. It's just a belief. No, that belief is a part of you. It's a part of your self-concept, because if you were the version of yourself who knew that, especially if this is a belief that you do not like, or it's a belief that is not serving you, if you had that ultimate self-concept of knowing, okay, if I decide that that's not serving me, then that thing is not true. That's not real. That doesn't apply to me in my reality. You would just let go of the belief. Right? So the belief is not what's in control of you. Beliefs aren't what makes or breaks manifestation. I've spoken about this when I talked about, like, you don't have to believe. You don't have to believe things. You don't have to convince yourself to believe things in order to have them. Know it. Know it. All of this comes from that ultimate self-concept. There is no cause outside of you. There is no power outside of you. There is no source, no being, no nothing outside of you. So if you don't like that belief, then that belief is not for you. It just doesn't exist to you anymore. Of course, it still has its place in existence, but it's no longer relevant to you as the individual that you are here. And that's what we came to do, have an individuated experience. If you have that overarching self-concept, whatever that belief is that you think you need to change in order to be the version of yourself you want to be, in order to have the thing that you want to have, can just be dropped. Because you understand that if it's just a belief, that means that there's some malleability to it. There's some subjectiveness to it, because one person could believe it and another person could not believe it. So is it a belief or is it what you know? That's what your self-concept is. Who you know yourself to be, what you know to be true about yourself in relationship to everything in your reality, especially understanding that everything in your reality is you. Everyone and everything is you pushed out. So it's not, oh, well, you can have a certain self-concept about yourself, but if you have a belief about this certain person, that belief is also a part of your self-concept. It's not, oh, I have a good self-concept about myself as a manifestor, except this one thing, except this one area. That is a part of your self-concept. It doesn't become a separate entity that's no longer attached to you just because it's unfavorable or you don't like it. If it is a part of your identity, if you're believing in it, if it has relevance to you, for you to even be asking a question, how do I get rid of this? How do I change this belief? How do I shift here? It's because it's a part of your identity. It's a part of your self-concept, whether on the ego level or the ultimate self-concept level. So all of that comes back to who you say you are. And you can say that you are whoever you want to say that you are. But once you know that whoever you say you are is who you are, period, things get very different. Things just start to get a little bit more concrete. The illogical things, the flowery, floaty language starts to be a little bit more black and white. Do I like this? Yes or no? Is this who I am? Yes or no? Is this what I get to have? Yes or no? Is this how things work for me? Yes or no? All of those things boil down to your identity, boils down to who you are, how you think life works for you, all of the stories, all the experiences, all of the knowledge. That whole culmination of the individuated experience that you came here to have is your identity, is your self-concept, who you say you are. Your conception of yourself is what outpictures everything else, because everything has to go through you. You are the filter for reality. If you were not here, there would be no reality to speak of. If you were not the observer, there would be nothing to observe. There would just be the no thingness. That's not what we came here to do. There wouldn't be a here to come to if that were the case. At the end of the day, self-concept is manifestation, because self-concept is your identity and that is who you are. And manifestation is based on who you are, who you say that you are, right? Can we all agree on that? Your state is based on who you are. Your beliefs are based on who you are. Your thoughts are based on who you are. Your feelings are based on who you are. What you look like, what you experience, how you react to things, your triggers, the things that bring you joy are based on who you are. That is going to be different for every single person as we are here, having an individuated experience. Everything has to go through you. The point is to be here having this individuated experience, so you need a self-concept, you need an individual self-concept in order to do that. You are the conduit for that, you as an individual. Because I do feel like if you completely understood where I was coming from, you would understand how this makes the most logical sense that this could possibly make. You know, sometimes making manifestation make logical sense is not the easiest. We can use scientific methods for that, but you know, science is changing all the time. Really, it's better to just get to the fundamentals, to just know what you know and know how it is, and then to live it experientially so that you can see for yourself, so that you can know for yourself. And then it's not a belief, it's just a knowing. It just is what it is. And then congratulations, you have a new aspect of your self-concept unlocked. It's not something that you've added to yourself. It is a remembrance of an aspect of yourself that you just shut off so that you could play this silly little game with yourself. But little pieces coming back online to make this experience easier, more fun, more fulfilling, more wholesome and beautiful, enjoyable is amazing. That's why we are here elevating our consciousness. That's also another note that I want to say. I am always, obviously, gonna be here telling you how to get the things that you want. If you want to get what you want, if you want the results, I will tell you how to get them. But that's not all that this is about for me. It's also about the spiritual understanding. It's also about the deeper levels of knowledge. It's about growing in consciousness and rising in consciousness, elevating in consciousness. It's not about being some fully enlightened being some fucking guru or some, you know, something to aspire to. The point is that there is nothing to aspire to. You are already it. You are already all that is. That is the ultimate self-concept, that there is nothing that could be added to or taken away from you that will make you more of the Father, more of the one that you already are. You are just an aspect of it, but you are still the whole entire thing, because there is nothing about you that is not God. I think I said my piece on that. If it's still unclear, I will come back. Don't you worry about it. I will come back. I want to touch on this quickly with robotic affirmations, because I am seeing a resurgence in robotic affirming becoming more popular. And again, with this is the key, this is the only thing you need to do, or the only thing you need to know. Hello, welcome, air quotes. It just has to be obvious to everybody. I hope that it's obvious to everybody that robotic affirmations are not the key to manifestation. The same way, if you're a Neville purist, sorry to break it to you, visualization is not the key to manifestation. Affirmations, even, are not the key to manifestation. Scripting is not the key to manifestation. None of these techniques are the key to manifestation. That's what it is. A technique, no matter what the technique is, no matter what challenge somebody comes up with, no matter what new convoluted way somebody comes up with in order for you to have some framework for getting what you want, that is never going to be one size fits all. What is one size fits all is the one, the all itself. That is the I am. That is consciousness. That is ultimate self-concept, knowing who you are as cause of everything. That's the whole Pearl of Great Price thing also, that there's no cause outside, that everything outside of you is you, everything inside of you is you, and everything inside is outside, and outside is inside, and all everything everywhere all at once. Okay, that's what this is about. So no, robotic affirmations are not the key to manifestation. But yes, robotic affirmations absolutely work. Robotic affirmations are great if you love them and they are working for you, amazing. There are plenty of people who have no issues robotically affirming and getting what they want because they have a good self-concept. If you want to say that it is not because of self-concept, let me ask you, what do you need in order to make a technique work? If we know it's not the technique itself, it's not robotic affirmations themselves, because plenty of people manifest things without robotically affirming, the same way people manifest with robotic affirming. So it's not robotic affirming itself. What is the through line? What is the continuity here? That fundamental self-concept, whether it is just, I am capable. I know how reality works. I know that things aren't as they seem. And I believe, or I know that if I say this thing over and over again, it is going to be true. That is a part of your self-concept. That belief that robotic affirmations work, and however they may work for you, whether it's easy, whether it happens very quickly, whether you have to do a certain number of affirmations or do them for a certain amount of time, whatever that belief is that you have about robotic affirmations is your belief from your identity. That's why it is not one size fits all. Nothing could ever be one size fits all. Just like different people visualize in different ways. Some people loop a short scene over and over again. Some people just daydream and allow whatever mental pictures come to mind to enter their mind, and they experience them. They feel the feelings of it happening right now, and that's their technique. It all works. Why? How could it possibly all work? Or how could one thing possibly work for one person and not work for the other? Or give one person horrible opposite results and get the other person what they want in the same day? It is based on identity. It's based on the beliefs that you have personally about that thing, your own lived experience, and what you are willing to accept for yourself. That comes into your image of who you think you are. I'm a person who likes robotic affirming, and robotic affirming works for me. I'm a person who does SATs religiously every single night, and it always works for me. I always get it in 3 days. That is a part of your self-concept. The stories underneath your self-concept, the beliefs underneath your self-concepts, those knowings underneath your self-concept. If that were not the case, it would be the same for every single person. So what is the only thing that is the same for every single person is that ultimate self-concept. I am, I exist, I am being. Beingness is the only constant. What you have to have in order to be a personality, an ego, a self-concept. You exist. Hello, human. Again, for the 3rd time. So let's not pretend that robotic affirming is working perfectly for everybody. There are people who are trying to robotically affirm and are miserable, because I have people come to me for coaching saying, I've tried this, I've tried that. Robotic affirming was supposed to be the thing that worked, and I've done it. And I've seen it work for other people no matter what state they were in, which also denotes that states are not necessarily the thing that constitute manifestation either. They are the states from your self-concept, from that level of consciousness, because different states are accessible to different people, different individuals with different personalities, with different identities. Anyway, there are people who are miserable trying to make robotic affirming work for them. There are people who are in that state of desperation, in that state of anxiety, almost manic, when they are affirming. Over and over again, they feel constant anxiety about it. It is eating them alive. Why? What is the difference between somebody who robotically affirms? It works for them all the time. They get it easily and effortlessly. It's no big deal. I'm just gonna repeat this thing. Duh. I get it every single time. Let's say I'm looking at one of my guitars. So let's just say you want to manifest a new guitar. I have 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 a new guitar, I have a new guitar, and that doesn't bother them at all. And then there's somebody robotically affirming, trying to get rid of a third party, saying, there's no third party, there's no third party, there's no third party. Shit. There's no third party, there's no third party, there's no third party, there's no third party. Shit. In a relationship, there's no third party, there's no third party. Constantly checking the 3D, not having any conviction because you don't know who you are, because you don't have that fundamental self-concept that you are all that is. There is no cause outside of you. Whatever it is that you are seeing, it is because of you. It is because of you. I don't like the words fault, and I don't like the blame and shame game. It is just radical responsibility. This is how reality works. You are forever out picturing your conception of yourself. Who you say you are is constantly being reflected on the outside world. If you do not believe this to be true, take mental inventory of your thoughts and then look around at the things that are happening to you in your reality. If you see absolutely no correlation, I'm going to ask you to take off the goggles that you have on and put on your awareness goggles and take a little bit of a deeper look. And for all of the places that you tried to place outside blame for this thing being this way, this thing being that way, let's look inside, let's look within and see if we can follow the through line. See if there is anywhere in your thinking, anywhere in your feeling, anywhere in your being that you still feel attached to that story. Because if it were not true, then you would have no reaction to it, you would never be triggered, you would never feel like you have to be in that frantic state of, there's no third party, there's no third party, there's no third party. It does come down to your concept of yourself, that person who's able to easily robotically affirm and the person who is having a shit time. People don't want to say it like it is, but that is what it is, okay? Can you manifest from that frantic state? Can you continue to repeat it over and 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 over again until it finally manifests? Sure. Here though, here, I'm talking about here specifically on this channel. Hi, this is More Being. On this channel, I can't leave you with that. I cannot, in good conscience, just leave you with that. Yeah, just repeat it over and over again. You'll get what you want. Just keep going. Just persist. Just keep at it. You don't like visualization? It doesn't matter. Visualization is the way that works. Keep visualizing. Visualize every night. Visualize an hour at night and an hour in the morning. You have to, and loop the same scene. Only one scene. 10 seconds every single time, over and over, and don't change that scene. Just you have to do it like this or else it's not gonna work. And keep doing it. I promise eventually it will work. Any of these methods you choose, if you have that level of persistence in it, and if you just keep fighting for it and you just really believe that one of these days it's gonna happen, then assuredly one of these days it's gonna happen. To me, that's bullshit. There's absolutely no reason why you cannot have what you want and feel fulfilled. There's no reason that you cannot be happy, feel good about yourself, rely on yourself for your own internal validation, and also get the things that you want in the 3D. I want you to have your results, but I also want you to have the understanding that is going to lead to your perpetual fulfillment, to the state where no matter what is happening, no matter what circumstances are in the 3D, no matter what you see, no matter who is saying what, you are so firm in your conviction of who you are that you are unshakable. You cannot be moved because you know there is no cause outside of me. Wow, I am actually God. Wow, I am actually source. Anything I want, I can choose. I am this person. I can say, I am that. I have this. Things work for me this way, and that is just going to be the way that it is because I know that nobody outside of me gets to decide. I am the decider. I am the chooser. It's already all been created for me. Thank you, higher version of me. Higher version of me. Thank you for laying all of this out for me so I can enjoy this beautiful game of life. That's literally all this is. I have to impart to you that fundamental understanding, that knowledge. That has to be baseline. Otherwise, things get a little awry. Don't tell me you haven't seen it, because you can look in the comment section of some of these videos and see people who are struggling, who are still not understanding, that pearl of great price piece, who are not understanding that the kingdom of God is within you, that Christ consciousness is you, assuming yourself to be the person that you want to be, deciding who you are. That is manifestation. That's why I don't like to call it law of assumption or law of attraction or put a title or a name on it. If you want to call it something, it pretty much is law of assumption. But I don't want the box, okay? Because you get to decide all of that. You get to decide the rules, you get to decide how things work, you get to decide who you are. That is the amazing thing about your self-concept. And it is all pervasive. It is permeating every single aspect of your existence all the time, forever and ever, until you cease to exist, which you won't because you exist. And the definition of existence is to exist. Non-existence in itself doesn't exist because we've already talked about that, how literally the definition of non-existence is non-existent. So if it doesn't exist, then it doesn't exist. So all there is existence. Listen, sometimes I go off and I fear I don't actually make sense, but I hope you are sticking with me here. So if you are to put a key on anything, this is the key. That self-concept, the ultimate self-concept of the Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I. That way, when you do these things, when you do your techniques, if you choose to use techniques, you don't feel like you're petitioning some higher being. You don't feel like a genuinely lower version of yourself asking for something that's outside of you, begging for something, pleading for somebody to love you, for somebody to pay you a certain amount of money, for somebody to accept you, for somebody to do anything for you, or for anything in your reality to be any certain way. There is no begging and pleading when you understand the ultimate self-concept, that you are who you say you are, period. That is identity. That is self-image. That is your personality. That is your ego. That is the basis of manifestation. It is the thing that is the through line for every single person. You can't say you don't exist. You can't say you're not being. In order to be, you have to have a personality. There is something about you that makes you an individual. Your individualization and whatever your awareness of that individualization is what manifestation is based on for you. Are we understanding? Okay, so I do want to take a moment to say justice for robotic affirmations, okay? This is justice for robotic affirmations. If you love robotically affirming, please do it, okay? I don't care. If you are doing it under the pretenses of that ultimate self-concept, because that is so important. That way you don't feel like you're fighting with the 3D. That way you don't feel like you're trying and you're efforting. And like, I always talk about the barrier to entry. There is no barrier to entry. It is you. It is just that fundamental understanding, that awareness that I am. Hello, I exist. I am being. That is all that's required, and you're already doing it. Congratulations. You are free to create whatever you would like to create in your reality, or to choose from all of creation whatever you would like to see manifested. That's gonna be a lot easier for you if you are tuned in to that higher version of you who knows that to be true, who knows all that is all that is, and who knows that you living this physical experience have all of those things available to you, and they can be easily given to you as soon as you decide you are the person who has that. You are the version of yourself living that experience. You know yourself to be that you, living in that reality as that version, having whatever it is you want. These type of conversations I know are not for everybody. A lot of people who come into the manifestation community, come to Law of Assumption, just want to get what they want and go. A lot of the times it's an SP or a big check, okay? And I understand that. But I want you to not only just have that, but to have that fundamental understanding, that ultimate self-concept, so that you can take it with you throughout your whole entire existence and manifest whatever you want forever, for all time, and just feel fulfilled no matter the circumstances, knowing that those circumstances are not bigger than you because they're not outside of you, because everything outside of you is you. That's my purpose. That is my main purpose, is to remind you who you are, not to tell you, not to preach at you, not to give you permission, not to be on some holier than thou enlightened high horse, not for you to think that I'm some guru or something to aspire to. I am exactly like you. I think that it's important that I share this knowledge with you to the best of my understanding, so that I feel like I'm giving you all the information and all of the wholeness that is available to you, because life is so much more than just pulling for a result or being so dependent on the 3D reality or getting results or making something happen. Once you understand that it is about being, that the 3D reality is nothing without you, all of it gets a lot more simple, and you have a lot more fun, and things happen a lot more easily, and you are just so much more chill. And life is just life. And the words "so what" become a regular part of your vocabulary. You see circumstances happening, you're like, so what? Is that true? Is that relevant to me? Is that who I'm choosing to be? Is that how I'm choosing to exist in this reality? If the answer is no, that has nothing to do with me, and you are just able to let it go. You don't have all the questions. You don't have to affirm a billion times in order to make yourself feel okay. You feel okay just because you choose to feel okay. You are who you are just because you chose that that's who you are. And it's not based on anything outside of you. Again, because everything outside of you is based on you. That is why this fundamental awareness is so important to me. So fundamental core self-concept for me comes first, and then 3D ego self-concept of whoever you want to be. Both are extremely important, but this one, the 3D you, molding that, shifting that, changing that, which in turn allows you to mold, shift, change your reality, is going to be a lot easier if you know who you are, truly who you are, on the level of no separation, all that is ness. I am-ness, consciousness, pure beingness. Hopefully I've repeated these words enough times that all of this is hammered into your head. I truly, 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 truly hope that this cleared some things up. If there is anything else you would like me to do a little bit of a deep dive into, let me know in the comments. I am taking suggestions. I would love to hear what you guys think and what you would like to hear about what I think. So leave it in the comments below. Recap. The Father and I are one, but the Father is greater than I. Yes, there is no separation. You are Source. You are God. That's non-negotiable. That's undeniable. But you are here having a human experience. Enjoy it for what it is. It's good. This is good. We're here. We're doing it. Self-concept is king. Everybody is operating on self-concept. You have to be, because you exist, because you are a person, because you have an identity, because you are alive. If you did not have a self-concept or did not have an ego, you would cease to exist as the person that you are now. It wouldn't make any sense. Nothing would make sense because you would not exist. So self-concept is important. Yes, it is important. And I would go so far as to say important above all else. It is the key to manifestation, especially if we are talking about that ultimate self-concept, knowing who you are on the fundamental base level as core, as source, as creator, as all that is, and then taking that core knowledge, making that your core belief system, and allowing that to inform all your other decisions about who you will be as a 3D version of you. All the techniques, any technique that you choose to use could never be the key. No singular technique could ever be the key, end-all, be-all to manifestation. The thing that is the end-all, be-all to manifestation is you. It's always gonna be you. That is the through line. It is the constant existence. Being, awareness, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I hope you are starting to be able to interchange these words and understand that we're talking about the same thing. It's all the same. Who you are is the basis for all of this. What you decide is true about you is the basis for all of this, because what you decide is true about you becomes what you decide is true about your reality. You inform all of your other decisions, all your other beliefs, thoughts, feelings, etc. Stories about reality. It all has to stem from you. Even if you got it from another person, you took it, internalized it, identified with it, and it became a part of your overarching self-concept. So the technique is never the thing. Techniques are great. Yes, please use them. They're tools that they're available here for you. Yes, very good, very nice. But techniques are never making anything happen. Robotic affirmations are not the way. Visualization is not the way. Scripting is not the way. Spinning around on your head 3 times and chugging moon water up your ass is not the way, okay? The way is whatever you choose for it to be, and only you can choose for it to be. That has to like give you some inkling of knowing that techniques work differently for each individual, because some people choose that it works for them, some people choose that it doesn't. Some people choose it's enjoyable, some people choose it's not. Some people choose it's too much effort, some people choose that it's not. That is based on them, and it works based off of them. Otherwise, we would have concrete results. Every single person doing the exact same thing, getting the exact same results. That's not how it works, because individual experience, okay? That's it. I'm gonna stop yapping your ear off. Get back to being. It's always been about being. It always will be about being. I will die on that hill. Who are you being? Who do you say that you are? Your reality agrees with you. God agrees with you. Source agrees with you, because all of that is you. Come to that fundamental understanding, and everything else will come so much more smoothly. All right, you guys, that's gonna do it for me today. I intend this message serves you well, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments. If you're interested in working with me or checking out any of my other platforms, all that information will be in the description box below. And other than that, I love you all so much. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.